Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Potts, and I am the current chair of the Communications Committee for the Business Law section of the Florida Bar. And we are back for another Better Know a Judge series. And this morning I have with me Judge Berger. She will be just chatting with us in regards to what she does as a judge, and we'll also get to know her a little bit better on the personal level. I ask that if you haven't watched any of our prior videos, please subscribe to our Business Law Section YouTube so you can better know any of the other judges that we appear before as business law attorneys. So let's go ahead and get started. Judge Berger, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to us?
My name is Judge Berger, Wendy Berger, and I'm a judge on the United States District Court for the Middle District of Florida. And I sit in Orlando.
Perfect. So just background questions. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Jacksonville, born in Athens, Georgia, while my dad was in college at the University of Georgia. And then, but since I was probably about 18 months old, a year old or so, 2 years, I've lived in Jacksonville. So I've been there most of my life.
Okay. And so did you have any role models growing up? Any heroes?
Role models really were my parents. My dad's no longer with us, but my mom, is still here. And what they taught me really just has been sort of a focus for me as I teach my children as well.
Mm-hmm.
They taught me about hard work. Nothing in life comes free except your mama's love. They, taught me the value of a good handshake. Uh, they taught me that, if you make a promise, you got to keep it. Just basic values. Hard work pays off, and they they let me fail. They
Mm-hmm.
let me fail. They didn't fight my battles for me. They supported me personally, but um, I think it's important for parents to let their kids fail, especially today. I certainly learned much more by things that I didn't succeed at than I have by the successes I've had. So I think probably if I had to pick, role models, it was my mom and dad growing up.
I like those values that you just listed off. I've actually never heard of the quote, nothing's free but your mama's love, but I really like that. That's a really good quote.
It's
And
true.
yeah, it is true. It is true. And the part about allowing you to fail, that's where I know that I've learned my biggest lessons. Um, Not always can parents guide you in how they made the decisions. They can always prevent bad things or failures from happening, but sometimes they have to let you experience things yourself. So that's a great takeaway from when you grew up. And so, what did you think you wanted to be when you were a child?
Not a lawyer. That I
Not a
can tell you.
lawyer.
Um, Actually, I was involved in theater when I was growing up, and I did community theater. I was involved in drama club in high school, and so I actually auditioned and got into FSU, and started out as a theater major at Florida State, and probably did that for about 2 years, and then just gradually decided that maybe while I've got a wonderful appreciation for theater, maybe I should major in something that I can earn a living doing, as my father would constantly remind me of. And so I ended up with a degree in advertising and a minor in English, and just sort of ended up going to law school. But really, growing up, I was gonna be an actress. That was my goal growing up.
Well, good. And so, were you in a lot of plays or productions growing up?
I was in, oh gosh, I mean, I was Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. I was it's in Oliver, which was in community theater, just a bunch of different things, community theater and school stuff growing up, and then did some, competitions,
Mhm.
theater. Liked it, and I've got a really good appreciation for it now. I love to go to the theater, but those days of actually performing are long gone.
And so, at what point in time from theater and advertising did you decide to go the law school route?
Try to go back and really think. I don't know that it was, I want to be a lawyer. I think it was, I'm not ready to get out of school yet. And so what can I
Okay.
do? And so I took the LSAT and I decided to go to law school. And I just sort of found my niche. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. Um, and when I graduated in 2.5 years because I did both my summers. I did a international law fellowship in Yugoslavia for one summer, and the other summer I was a certified legal intern. And so was able to try cases with the state attorney's office before I graduated. And just that's when I decided, this is what I want to do. I want to be a trial lawyer. I enjoy trying cases. I enjoy being in the courtroom. I really think that's where the theater helped me, the theater
Yeah.
background helped me tremendously in terms of being able to get up in front of people and speak and do an opening and closing statement before a jury. But I really enjoyed it, and ended up graduating and going to work for the state attorney's office right afterwards.
Okay. And so, as a judge, what type of cases do you hear?
On the federal court, I hear a whole host of crime. I hear criminal cases as well as civil cases. Obviously, what we have in federal court, and it's just a wide variety. I had a sentencing today on a child sex case, and I had last week I had hearings on a patent case. So
Hmm.
it's a wide variety of cases that I get in federal court. When I was a state court judge,
Mhm.
I was for a year, I was in a civil division. For 8 years, I handled drug court. And then I was circuit court judge for 8 years. So for one year was civil. And then for 7 years, I served as a felony court judge and then handled drug court as well. So during that time, I heard a whole host of criminal cases, death penalty cases, anything that happened to be filed as a felony in St. Johns County, because I was the only felony criminal court judge there that came before me. And then I did appellate work on the 50CA after I left the circuit court before I started this position.
How did you enjoy working on the appellate court?
I loved it. I really enjoyed my work on the 50CA. I'm sort of a nerd. I like to read and write.
Mm.
So it gave me an opportunity to do that. I like the collegiality that we had on that court. We didn't always agree with one another. We
Mm.
had certain philosophical differences, but we never were disagreeable when we disagreed. And we ate lunch together every week when we were in town. We knew each other's families. We generally liked each other, and I think that was part of the reason why I loved my work on the 50CA. Just the people that I worked with were great, but also the work was incredibly interesting. One of the other things I liked about it was you had the benefit of time
Mm.
uh, to get it right,
Mm.
and you had the benefit of not having to make the decision by yourself because you had
Mhm.
at least two other judges that were sitting with you. You had to be able to persuade the other members of the panel to go your way, but you weren't having to make the decision by yourself, and you had certainly the benefit of time to do the research and make sure that you got it right. You don't always get it right, but do the best you can to get it right. And so I enjoyed that work a lot.
And so, what do you enjoy about being a judge in your current position?
Federal court, I think it really is the best of both worlds. It's sort of the best of being a trial court judge that I saw when I was a state court judge, but also an appellate court judge, because there's a fair amount of writing. And unlike when I was a trial court judge in the state court, where every time you had a motion, pretty much you had a hearing, generally the motions that I receive on the dispositive motions, which are really the ones I handle, are we rule on the paper. So I get the written motion, and very rarely will I have a hearing. Generally, only if I require an evidentiary hearing on the case do I actually have a hearing. So it's sort of what I find is the best of both worlds that I had in state court. And the law is extremely interesting to me. I get some issues, these patent and trademark issues, some antitrust issues, things like that I never really saw when I was in state court. So I enjoy it. And I enjoy that I don't have family law cases. Except occasional, we do get the Hague Convention, where we have the child abduction, where people are, of one parent has taken the child, brought the child to the United States, and the other parent's trying. We have those cases that we hear, but they're pretty expedited, and we don't we don't have to decide custody. There's certain issues that we look at in determining whether or not the child has to go back. So other than those cases, I don't have to deal with family law, which I appreciate very much.
So what would you say is the value that you bring to the federal court as a judge?
I think probably just my experience, my overall experience as both a trial court and appellate court judge, and just general life experience after practicing for 30 years. I think that you bring sort of your life experience, your experience as a lawyer and as a judge to the bench. I think I've gotten pretty good at reading people over the years, and I think you need to be able to do that pretty well as well.
Okay. And so for any of our colleagues, any of the members of the business law section, what advice would you give to them before they appear before you?
Well, this is one thing I tell everybody I speak with: know your judge. Just one thing, my biggest probably pet peeve is that it doesn't appear that anybody reads my standing orders, which are posted on my page, which lists my preferences. And so the first thing any lawyer should do before they appear before me is go to my page on the Middle District website and read my standing order, and read, I have two of them up there. And we have our local rules, and generally people follow the local rules, but my orders amend those rules. There's a particular font I like, which is Arial and 12 point. And so that's a requirement for filings in my court. And then with their page limits with responses to or objections to magistrates' reports and recommendations, or page limits that we have. So read those preferences. That's important. Otherwise, you're going to get an order that strikes your motion and directs you to refile it correctly. And I would say 90% of the filings I get in don't follow my standing order. Most of them don't. So be prepared. Be respectful of the court. Be respectful of counsel. And that's really the main thing. Is I don't like it when attorneys argue with one another. I don't like it when people are disrespectful. It takes a lot of time away from the real issues in the case, and I don't want it to mediate disputes between lawyers. Now, this is an adversarial system, right? I mean,
yes,
but we can disagree without being disagreeable. And so that I don't like. I think it gives our profession a bad name, and I just there's no reason why we can't be courteous with one another. I was listening to Chief Judge Pryor and our Chief Justice Muniz talk at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and they were asked to give some advice to, young lawyers that were in there, and some of the law students that were also at the conference. And Judge Pryor said that one of the advice he gave was be kind.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind to the people that you're in your law school class with. Be kind to other lawyers. There's really no excuse for it. And it costs you nothing to be kind to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And I would emphasize that.
Okay, so be kind, be respectful, and look at your standing orders.
Look at your standing orders. Right. I mean, I have other things, but and one other thing that I would do, and people still call me today that are friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, call somebody that that has practiced before me and knows my pet peeves and my quirks. They probably know my quirks better than I know my quirks.
Mm-hmm.
And and I have people call me all the time that say, "Hey, Judge, I've got a case before, say, Judge Mendoza, and I've never practiced before Judge Mendoza before. Can you, what's he like? What can you give me some, some information about him and what I should expect?" And so I'll tell them, about Judge Mendoza, and I just think that that's a good way to do that, whether it's another lawyer friend or whether it's a judge that's practiced before one of the courts or one of the judges to find out about them. And I will say to young lawyers, say this is their first argument for the court, let me know. I'm going to say, introduce yourself and say,
Uh-huh.
or if you're there with senior counsel, have them introduce and say, this is, so-and-so's first argument before the court. And that way I'll know, and
Mm-hmm.
any other judge will know. And some of the tougher judges might be a little easier going if you know
Mm-hmm.
what you're, um, but that's another little piece of advice.
Well, that's good advice. Being transparent in regards to it being your first time arguing. And it's good to know that some of the judge may be a little bit more easygoing if they have the
I
information.
would. I mean, I'm not going to be, sometimes people get nervous, right? And
Of
sometimes
course.
nerves translate to maybe you're not prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so if I know that somebody's first time arguing before the court, and you get nervous, everybody gets nervous,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, it just eases it a little bit. So
Okay. And so, what career advice would you give to your 21-year-old self?
whatever it is you decide to do, be the best at it. Put in those 10,000 hours. Find a good mentor. Watch what your mentor does, or these people that you admire, what you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a lawyer, if it's an actress, if it's a business owner, if it's an entrepreneur, whatever it is, or whoever it is, watch what the people in the top of their field are doing and do what they're doing. But that's probably the advice I would give.
Okay, great advice. So let's jump into some more personal questions.
Okay.
How do you like to spend your time off the bench?
A lot of time with family, and because when I work in Orlando, but my family is North Florida. So I go home on the week, travel back and forth on the weekends. So I like to spend time with my family when I'm not on the bench. My son just bought a house. So lately I have been spending my time helping him fix that
Mhm.
old house up. It's built in the 30s. So
Fixer-upper.
fixer upper. So I've been helping him with that. But I like to travel whenever I can. And, like sports, cheer for my Jaguars and my Seminoles. And we have my daughter goes to school at Auburn, so we have become Auburn fans because we pay for it.
Mhm.
And so we just do stuff with family. That's basically how I spend my time off the bench.
And
And I
so,
exercise a lot. I'm a big fitness person, so I exercise and do all that as well.
so what type of exercise? Weightlifting, Pilates? Walking?
weightlifting, mostly, and some cardio, not as much cardio, mostly lifting weights, and I'd get on the Peloton.
Okay. So if you're on a road trip or a plane ride, you listen to what?
Well, if I'm in my car, I usually listen to the news. Like I'll listen to the Fox News generally, or I'll listen to the highway, which is mostly listen to the highway, which is country music, if that's what I listen to.
Okay.
Or whatever, if I can listen to some talk radio, I'll listen to some talk radio. But that's if I'm in the car.
Mm-hmm.
On an airplane, I'm definitely afraid of flying. So I turn on the TV
Mm-hmm.
and try to focus on whatever, if there's a movie or something
Something
on
else.
top. I just try to zone out. I don't want to, have to deal with it. So whatever I can find on the little screen in front of me
Mhm.
is what I watch when I'm flying.
Okay. And where would you go for your ideal vacation?
Probably go to Italy.
Mm.
My son went to school over there for about a year and worked over there for a little while. So we went to travel and visit with him, and I loved it. And I wish I'd been able to spend more time over there. So Italy's probably where I'd go on a perfect vacation.
And what is the last book you read?
I tried to, I knew you were going to ask me that question, and I tried to think about what it was. And because I read so much, I used to go through a book a week. It's been a while since I've really sat down and read a book cover to cover. But when I do, it's typically some sort of chick lit.
Okay.
A beach read,
Mm-hmm.
something that's just an easy read. So I like Mary Kay Andrews. I like her
Mm-hmm.
books. It's very Southern. She always has a recipe in her books. And so I usually try to make her recipes. They're always very good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I like Nicholas Sparks' books. Um, and so I've got a couple of them on my nightstand to start reading that I bought,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't started reading yet. And then I read some, um, self-help kind of
Mm-hmm.
books, fitness books too,
Mm-hmm.
mindset books. I like those, and just easy read, like, you know, just like daily readings.
Mm-hmm. So you like to read Nicholas Sparks. Do you
I
like the
do.
movies?
I watch his movies, but his books are so much better.
Mm-hmm.
They're always sad. They always have a very sad
Yes, they
sad ending.
do.
So you have to be prepared for the sad ending. But there's just really, they flow really well and nicely. But I've seen a couple of the movies. I
Okay.
have.
And
They're good.
so they are. I love the movies. They are generally sad, but
They're always sad.
so last question. What is your favorite dish?
Favorite dish to eat.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite dish is, well, anything with bacon. First of
Okay.
all, I will eat bacon on anything. But my husband makes this fabulous French toast creme brulee,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll do it on special occasions. We'll have it for Easter, um, Christmas morning, birthdays or something. He'll make this on a special occasion, and it really is my all-time favorite. So I think that if I had to pick a dish, a last meal, it
Mm-hmm.
would be a slab of bacon with my husband's French toast creme brulee.
Okay. And is there anything else that you want to share with us before we sign off?
Goodness, I can't think of anything. It's been great. It's been fun. It's been great to talk with you.
It was great to speak with you as well. And so I just want to thank you again for taking the time to share with us. And I know that I've learned a lot about you, and I'm hoping that our members, when they're watching this, that they learn a lot about you as well. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you at some of our BLS events as well.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
You're welcome.